Hi, friends. Today I wanted to share some reasons behind why I journal on paper rather than digitally. It was quite a big surprise to many of my friends when they found out that one of the things that takes up a lot of my time is journaling, and that I do it on paper, mostly because they know me as someone who loves mechanical keyboards. And I still do. But it also baffled them why I would prefer pen on paper over typing, or even writing on my iPad with an Apple Pencil. I got asked this question so much that I kind of started questioning myself too. Why do I love writing with pen and paper so much? There must be something to it beyond just me liking the feel of pen on paper, right? And so, in typical Ria fashion, I reflected on the reasons, made a list, and looked into the science behind them. And guess what? There are. So, here I am sharing with you why I love writing with pen and paper, the science behind them, and why I recommend it to many people, especially in this day and age where most of us are glued to our devices. The first reason why I prefer writing with pen and paper is that writing by hand helps me think and remember more deeply. This isn't strictly about journaling, but rather learning. I'm quite a curious person, and when I'm curious about something, I read about it. I need to know deeper than surface level. Most of the things I get curious about are pretty random, like poetry, sacred geometry, skincare ingredients, and the best way for me to remember things is to write them down. Even when I was in college, when I did take notes on my laptop, when the time came for exam preps, I would write down notes with pen and paper from the notes I've typed down during class. I thought that it was the repetition that helped me to remember things, but there are studies showing that writing by hand actually engages more areas of the brain than typing. When we write by hand, the brain isn't just recording words, it's processing, selecting, and encoding information more deeply. And while this helps a lot when it comes to learning, it helps me in journaling too. I'm not just writing down what I remember each day, but the act of writing down helps me remember them more deeply. The second reason is one that I've mentioned before. Handwriting slows me down, and that's good for reflection. Typing is fast, and I do type relatively quickly at around 100 words per minute. Handwriting is slower, and that slowness helps my thoughts catch up with my feelings. There's actually science behind this. Slower writing speed encourages deliberate thinking, which supports metacognition, or thinking about your thinking, which is linked to better emotional regulation and self reflection. The slowness gives the brain time to form meaning, not just output text. And so as I write, I'm not just writing, I'm thinking. And then I think more about what I'm thinking. Then there are more feelings and emotions and questions that come from what I'm thinking about. I've heard a lot of people who are interested in journaling feeling hesitant about it because they're homebodies. They don't go out much, nothing interesting happens much in their daily lives. Well, I rarely leave my house, but even as I write about my mundane daily life, there are thoughts that spring from the little things that happen in my daily life. From videos I've watched online, books I've read, or even random conversations I've had with my cat. This next reason is also related to the previous one. Writing by hand supports emotional processing. There's something about physically moving a pen that helps emotions move too. There are studies on expressive writing showing that physically writing emotions can help with emotional clarity, stress reduction, and emotional regulation. The tactile, embodied act of writing strengthens the mind body connection. And as I think, reflect, and write, the act itself helps me process my thoughts and feelings. It's why writing down your feelings gives you a feeling of release, like you've offloaded some of the weight from your mind. The next reason I have is quite relevant to the recent interest in analog lifestyles. Paper journals reduce digital distractions and cognitive load. In this day and age where we have multiple devices within reach at all times, and so many aspects of our lives are so deeply tied to them, our attention spans have gotten shorter, and we're constantly bombarded with notifications. Whether it's social media, emails, deliveries, household things, we're constantly anticipating something, even if we're not conscious about it. It has become a normal part of our lives to look at our phones and check for notifications, even if we're not actively waiting for something. Digital devices increase cognitive load, even when notifications are off. Cognitive load is the amount of mental effort our brains are using at any given moment. It's basically how much your brain is juggling at once. When there's too much going on, it's harder to slow down and think clearly. Sort of like how if you open way too many tabs on a browser, it takes up memory on your computer and affects its performance. Research shows that the presence of a device can reduce focus and depth of thought, even if we're not actively using it. Paper offers a single task environment. Your focus is entirely on one thing, writing, which improves attention span and emotional presence. When I journal on paper, my brain isn't waiting for notifications. It's too busy focusing on what I'm writing. Depending on what I'm writing, I tend to put my phone away, and in the mornings when I write my morning pages, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb until I'm done writing the entry for the day. This next one might not apply to everyone, but decorating my journal is quite therapeutic to me. Decorating my journal isn't just about aesthetics. It helps me relax and feel grounded. I know there are a lot of people who find decorating their journals troublesome, and that's alright. Journaling is different for everyone, but for me, picking stickers and washi tapes, drawing and coloring, and finding ways to make my pages look pretty gives me a kind of joy and peace that I can only really describe as looking at pretty things makes my brain happy. But apparently, there are actual explanations for this. Decorative journaling overlaps with art therapy principles. Engaging in creative, low pressure art activities can reduce cortisol, or your stress hormones. It activates reward pathways in the brain, and it promotes mindfulness through sensory engagement. It's sort of like how adult coloring pages became popular in recent years. It relaxes our minds, and the end result gives us a rewarding feeling of having made something pretty. And the last reason, but definitely not the least, I love journaling with pens and papers because I love stationery, and joy matters. I realize that I journal more because I love the tools. I love my fountain pens, my markers, highlighters, my notebooks, my colored pencils, my stickers and washi tapes, and all the pretty papers. It gives me joy to use them, and joyful tools increase intrinsic motivation. When we enjoy the tools, we're more likely to journal consistently, stay emotionally engaged, and build sustainable habits. Getting to use my stationery supplies makes me excited to journal. I get excited to use my fountain pens to write my morning pages, no matter how messy my writing is in those pages. I get excited to write in my daily journal and decide how to decorate it for the day. Or even on days I'm not in the mood to decorate, I still look forward to using my pens. It's one of the big reasons I've kept up with journaling for so long, even if my other hobbies tend to periodically come and go. Yeah, so these are the reasons I journal on paper and why it works for me. Paper helps me slow down, listen, and stay present. I'm not saying that paper is better. It's just better for me. Journaling looks different for everyone. If digital journaling is what keeps you consistent, creative, or honest, then it is no less valid. There is no right way to journal, only the way that feels right to you. At the end of the day, journaling isn't about paper or screens. It's about giving your thoughts a place to land. Mine just happens to be in a notebook. But if you've never tried journaling on paper before, I encourage you to give it a try. Not because it's better, but simply to see how it feels for you. You don't need fancy supplies, creativity, or any of the aesthetic things you see on social media. A simple notebook and a pen or pencil are more than enough. But if you do want to decorate your journals, I recommend starting small. Don't go crazy with buying cute supplies until you feel like decorating your journal is something that gives you joy, and that it's something you'd like to continue doing. I've heard some people say that they want to journal, but their handwriting is atrocious. Well, I had messy handwriting too at some point, but I use journaling and daily writing to practice my penmanship too. And it's actually quite nice to see the improvement over time. It feels like a little documentation of growth in one aspect of my life. So if you want to try journaling on paper, don't let the pretty pages on social media stop you. Just start and see how it feels for you. If you'd like to share your experience with journaling, feel free to comment. Do you journal on paper, on your tablet, on your computer? I really love learning about everyone's journaling journeys. I hope that this video helps shed some light on why many people prefer journaling on paper. Thank you so much for watching, and that's all for today. Bye!